All right, guys, this is Crazy Kevin here, and I'm here with Nojus Namajunas. How you doing, my man?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Can't complain. Now, talk to us a little bit about what you got going on. We haven't seen you fight since 2022. What are you kind of doing nowadays?
Oh man. I'm just kind of focused on making money. I work as a stagehand, so I set up concerts and conventions and stuff like that. And then right now I'm actually tuning a piano. I'm tuning three pianos today. So I'll probably make about maybe like $400 just, in like about a few hours of work. So that's not too bad. So I'm just kind of like trying to stack cash right now and just so I could buy some land.
Nice, nice. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, so fighting kind of been like kind of taking a back seat, just not necessarily training, in martial arts and stuff. Like I'm very, very still involved in martial arts and like training a lot and still staying in the game and everything like that. Like I'm definitely watching everybody and learning all the new techniques and everything like that. But yeah, I gotta be focused on money. And once somebody gives me like a good offer for like real money to fight, then I will fight. You know what I mean?
Nice, nice. Now, you were just mentioning me. You're doing a little bit of like piano stuff. I know you did a little bit of like teaching piano lessons and stuff too. What's maybe your favorite thing to teach when it comes to piano lessons?
I don't know. I like to teach all ages, like all like kids, adults, like everybody. You know, Piano is like I started when I was like 5, so like it's kind of like a second. It's almost like my first language, almost. Second language, first language, basically. But yeah, I just like to teach the language of like how to communicate, because you can like teach somebody a song, but it's like there's many ways you can play the same song, and a lot of people just think, okay, I play this note at this time, and then that's the song, but there's a lot more to that. So I like kind of getting into the more like advanced concepts like phrasing and stuff like that. But yeah, like harmony is like you kind of you can figure that out on your own, but yeah, expression is like kind of what I like to teach.
Nice, nice. Now, do you happen to have like maybe like a favorite song that you like to play on the piano as well?
Um, I'm I'm a Chopin expert, so basically like any Chopin piece, I like to play Chopin a lot. He's a Polish composer from the 1800s, and he kind of like popularized the piano instrument as a solo instrument. And he's just his works are like really masterful, so like you can really challenge yourself if you learn a Chopin piece, like one of the bigger ones, like a ballade or a scherzo, or those are really hard to play, and I just like playing them. It's like really fatiguing, you know what I mean, after you're done. Like, MMA is tiring, you know what I mean? But it's like a whole different level of like mental exhaustion to be able to play, every note correctly from, beginning to end of like a 10-minute Chopin piece where you're playing like big chords, like 10 notes at a time.
Nice,
So,
nice.
yeah.
Now, yeah. Now, when it comes to like training too, I saw like on your Instagram, you were throwing some roundhouse kicks, and you're trying to get like a bunch of reps in a day with those kicks. What does maybe some other stuff that you like to do in the gym every day?
Are you talking about the 540 kicks?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so like those are just for fun. Like I like to just do, tricking kicks and stuff like that. Like as far as like cuz I started in taekwondo when I was a kid, and we used to do like the demos and stuff like that. In one of my MMA fights, I actually did like a flying side kick. Like I ran at the guy and did a flying side kick. So that's like a signature taekwondo move. So um, I just love doing like flashy kicks and just fun things. And that's the one thing about martial arts to me is it's more about expression than it is about competition for me. I mean, it is about competition in the sense of like I want to be able to defend myself to the best of my ability and be able to finish the fight as quickly as possible, because I really take the self-defense aspect of it seriously, because I believe in it, but the as a sport, I'm not so interested in like the accolades and stuff like that. I just like to do cool stuff, in the actual cage. So like, in my last fight, I hit an omoplata. You don't really see those a lot, but like that's the type of stuff I like to practice. I like to practice rare moves, stuff that's like flashy and cool. I like to do things that are like, so I want to make an art out of self defense. You know, just getting the W is not really that. It's not like I'm not that type of fighter. I'm not like, okay, I'll hold you down and then just okay, let's get through this fight and win. I'm more of like, I just want to have a good performance and be cool out there. You know what I mean? Like I just want to do cool stuff in the cage.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And, also being a Taekwondo instructor myself and training my whole life, like hearing you say like the falling sidekick and stuff, it's pretty cool. And another thing too, I think is pretty sweet as well too. You do a little bit, I'm sorry if I pronounce it wrong, do a little bit of the Carenza, like the stick fighting stuff.
Oh
Man, I
yeah,
think
yeah.
that's really cool to see, man, on your Instagram. Talk to us a little bit more about that.
So like that for me kind of started like during the pandemic. Um, I was really into Greg Nelson's videos that he was doing. So Greg Nelson is one of Rose's coaches. He's like one of her like first jujitsu coaches, like basically her first like real coach that spent like a lot of time, you know, preparing her and for the pro level and all that. I mean, I think she was already a pro when she got there, but or maybe she just had turned pro. But either way, that was like a really influential coach for her, Greg Nelson. So during the pandemic, there was really like not a lot to do. So just looking for inspiration, and he's like he's one of the most inspiring martial artists to me because he beat cancer, like a bunch of times, and he had this really rare form of cancer called neurolymphoma, I think it's called. But it's like cancer of the brain, and like barely anybody has ever like survived it. So, but he was able to like through his like survival like willpower, and he was able to combat like cancer and overcome it. So, but yeah, he's like a huge inspiration. So during that dark time of COVID where there's nothing to do and all that, yeah, I really I went to him for inspiration. I just saw him doing Carenza videos. I'm like, good idea. You know what I mean? If you just do that for 5 minutes every day, I wonder how good you could get. So that's just what I did.
That's
Just a lot,
awesome.
just like piano. Like you just practice like 10 minutes a day, all of a sudden like now you can play anything. It's the weirdest thing, but like if you just do something every day, it doesn't have to be for a long time, but just the fact that it's every day, then you sleep, then you wake up, do it again, that whole process just it compounds. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, that definitely makes sense. And, you mentioned a little bit earlier, you were doing a little bit of like martial arts demos. Where would you typically do your martial arts demos at?
oh man, so we started in Cho's Taekwondo in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So this was like we don't live there anymore. It's been about 10 years or so since we moved. But yeah, this was like when we were kids. Like I pretty much quit Taekwondo when I was about 12. And there's like a whole story behind that, but yeah, like so like yeah, we were just doing them in like parks and little gymnasiums and stuff like that, but it was really cool. We would do all sorts of board breaking, brick breaking, like and just as little kids too. So we were doing like the advanced like adult things. So like it was basically me, Rose, and there was like one other like little prodigy black belt that was like he was really good. We were all similar age, and as kids we were like pretty much the stars of the show. And then like you had like the adults too, so like they were doing like cool flying kicks and all that. And yeah, so like they just treated us like adult black belts. That was kind of cool. But yeah, I as far as the demos, I can't really remember. I just remember we were in parks and stuff like that.
Nice. No, that definitely sounds awesome. And yeah, I wish there was maybe some videos or something out there we could check it out. But with that being said,
I would hope so. Like, I would hope that they're out there somewhere. I know
yeah.
Cho's Taekwondo for sure. Like I'm pretty sure they have at least some pictures from back in the day.
That's awesome. No, I'll have to try to look into that then. And I thought one thing that was kind of funny that you mentioned in another interview, you said that obviously being Rose's brother, you have like, the last name attached to you. And then there would be some people in the gym that would, go a little bit harder, try to tap you out just because, you're Rose's brother. So do you happen to have any funny stories about that?
Oh man, well, it's like that. I have so many sparring stories because like over the years, like there's just been like I spar pretty hard in the gym when I do, but then also like I will go very light with people that I've already had the dialogue with. So like I guess what speaking of is like, when you spar with the same person like every day, you start to like learn each other's stuff, and then you just kind of get further, and it becomes kind of like a conversation. And then so like one of my friends, Gerald, he hit me with like a spinning, or no, he hit me with like a cartwheel kick like one time, and it was like, yeah, it was a funny one because it was like it kind of rocked me a little bit too. So he like hit me like right above my eyebrow like with his toe, but it was like I did kind of like feel like a little, like a bing, like, and then it was like, yeah, it just like stunned me a little bit for a second. I was like, oh wow. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. What was the exact question again?
Just basically, if someone was coming into the gym, like trying to tap you out or something like that, was just like a funny story, I guess, behind it. So
Yeah, no, I mean, I get competitive with my teammates, but I guess it's been a while. Like I kind of watch carefully who I spar with nowadays. I remember this one time, like it was at 303. This was like back in the day, but like this was when Rose was kind of known for hitting the flying armbar. And this was before I had even fought MMA, I think. And this one guy, I think he was a purple belt, I guess, but he was coming up from out of town, and he had been to 303 before, but he just had heard that we were up there training a lot. So, and he had happened to be in town. So he came in and he knew who I was. I didn't know who he was at all. And he just, he tried to flying armbar me like out of nowhere. It didn't work. He just fell on his back, but it was like, it was like, nice try, bud.
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
No, the other thing I heard you mention too is your first amateur fight. You felt like you had like a ton of pressure getting ready for that fight. What advice would you maybe give to somebody that's getting ready to make their amateur debut?
So my first amateur fight, which I guess like I had an amateur fight in kickboxing, and then I had an amateur in MMA. Which one are you referring to?
I believe MMA.
Okay, well, I think the most pressure I ever had was my pro debut in MMA. But so who's the question for? Is it like new fighters?
Just a new fighter, yeah, looking to kind of make their amateur, I guess, debut. Yeah.
Okay, and like I'm assuming that they've done maybe kickboxing before,
Yes. Yes.
something like that, or jujitsu.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Yep.
so
That
like
was true.
I'd say for sure compete in both. Like do at least one. Like I mean, depends on how naturally good you are. Like I only did one kickboxing fight, and then I just went into MMA. But like that's just I already knew how to fight like before I even started like officially training jujitsu. So it was like, I'm just kind of catching up to where I should be. So some people they need like 4 or 5 amateur kickboxing fights, and then they need like, a bunch of jujitsu tournaments before they can really make a good transition to amateur MMA. But at the same time, you can kind of do whatever you want. Like a lot of people just go right into MMA, and some of them do just fine. Most of them usually have a good wrestling background. So that's like the quickest path into MMA is just have wrestling. Do at least like a couple jujitsu tournaments, maybe one. One if you do really good, you want to have like about 10 matches or so before you get into the MMA cage, I think. Like 10 jiu-jitsu matches, I think, is a good number of like, okay, like you might be ready for your first one. So, we never know. Cause like you could do like 20 matches and then you just flop in your MMA debut just cause it just happens to be that way. You know what I mean? Like you just get those nerves or whatever.
Right,
But yeah.
right. Huh, that makes sense. That's definitely some good advice. And you know, you mentioned a little bit like Rose was like awesome at the flying arm bars. Was there maybe a BJJ submission that you learned that kind of blew your mind, or was like, wow, that's my new favorite submission. I want to start practicing.
Well, I mean, I always got to talk about the omoplata. So it's just like, it's just like kind of become like one of my signature moves. Like when I do it, cause I hit it in practice too. So it's like, it's a move that I know how to do. And then I did it in a pro MMA fight, which super rare. So yeah, omoplata. And I think it's highly underrated. Like, I think because people rarely get the finish, they don't see like all the different uses for it. But it's just another attack. Like it's like if like you can jab or you can double jab, you know, and double jab, like you're not necessarily going to land every double jab, but the fact that the double jab's coming out changes it, right? So like when you go for an armbar, and then like you know like they turn and you kind of miss it, you can still go for that omoplata, and then you know that might force them to roll and you end up on top. So like it's a good move because it leads to good paths no matter what. Even if you miss the move, you know, it's a good attack. And um so like, and I got to plug like one of my coaches, Tony Basili from 303. Like he says this sometimes, but he's like, it's more about movements than moves. Like it's not about moves, it's about movements. And so if you have like a good move or a good movement, you'll be able to do multiple moves off of that. So I think omoplata is like it's more of like a, because you can just attack it's the same thing as a triangle attack. You just do it on their arm when they're, you know, you're doing the same movement as a triangle, but your opponent's different. That's the only thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Now, one thing I always like to ask everybody I bring on the show. I'm a Taekwondo instructor, like I mentioned. I've been training for 19 years, teaching for 6 years. I just love what I do, man. And with that being said, what advice would you maybe give to all the guys I have in my gym to keep on coming in and keep on getting better and better every single day?
So like, yeah, like just it's a tough question because everybody's different, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And
Yep.
the more specific that I could be, I'm talking to, you know, it's people with different goals. So like, you know, but essentially like, yeah, just keep focused on like what your actual goals are, but you have to be like really like genuine about it. So like, you know, you could be like, all right, I want to win my first MMA fight. That's a goal that I have. But then like, you know, you got things in your life that are like, you know, pulling you every which way. You got to take care of those things before, you know, you can have success in your goals. Because I mean, you can just crush goals, but don't let other shit, you know, fall to the wayside. You always got to, you know, keep a whole comprehensive um focus of like the big picture, you know. So
Yeah.
you could get focused on like, okay, my next competition, I'm gonna crush it, right? And you do want to do that, but you can also get too tunnel vision into that, where you start to let your finances slip by and stuff like that. So that's just where I'm kind of at. Is I'm, you know, in my life, I'm like definitely, I would love to you know, compete at a higher level than I have before. I'd love to keep on getting better and, you know, be a champion in something. You know what I mean? It'd be great, but like there's more important things than just those immediate like goals. And you know, your potential, you're going to reach that potential, but you got to also, you know, you got to realize what your potential is. You can't just sacrifice everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is good to sacrifice, but you got to stay on point with everything. Like, you know what I mean? Discipline as a whole. Like, and I think Taekwondo in particular, like when you're a kid, like, and you're growing up in that kind of like as a Taekwondo, like they teach self-discipline, right?
Yeah. Oh,
That's
yeah.
one of the main like tenets of like when you're a kid, they're trying to brainwash you into being like a taekwondo soldier. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So like, that self discipline, you don't need nobody to tell you what you got to do, right? You got to get those things done. You got to make your bed. You got to do all those things, but those should just be a given. And it's a self discipline sort of thing where like you don't even think about it, you know?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. It's definitely part of our 710. It's definitely something I drill into my students, that's for sure. And, you know, I definitely think that was a great message and great advice. And speaking of messages, what's maybe a final message out there for the fans that are going to be watching this video?
Um, okay, yeah. So here's a couple. Yeah, here's a final message. Let's see here. Yeah, watch out for Rose's fight coming up in Denver, UFC Denver, UFC Fight Night Denver. She's gonna be fighting Macy Barber. It's gonna be a huge fight. Really good striking matchup, and I think Rose is just the more well-rounded, better fighter, and she's definitely she's got a whole new fire lit under her. So yeah, expect to see some fireworks in this one.
Nice. And yeah, we're definitely looking forward to Rose main eventing and having a great fight with Macy Barber. And thanks a lot for coming on, man. It means a lot to me. And yeah, we're looking forward to what's maybe next with you. And best of luck to Rose as well, too.
Yeah, thank you for the great interview. Good luck in your taekwondo school and everything. Where are you guys at?
I'm actually in Delaware where I teach. My boss, he actually owns like 2 schools. He has one in Glen Mills, Pennsylvania. Then I teach full time in Bear, Delaware.
Okay, like I hardly ever get to the East Coast, but if you're ever out in Denver, you could come train wherever I'm at. So,
dude, that'd be awesome. Yeah, let's stay in touch. I think that would be awesome. And yeah, I'd love to train with you guys and learn whatever I can. And I think it'd be a lot of fun.
yeah, Genesis Training Academy. That's where I mainly train MMA and stuff like that. But there's also 303 Training Center, Catharo for jiu-jitsu. There's like so many other gyms, that I love to train at here. So yeah, you're welcome to wherever I go.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. We'll stay in touch. And I think that would be awesome. Maybe one day we can kind of collab and figure out how we can train together. Let's do it.
Absolutely, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on. Enjoy the rest of your day, my man.
Yep.